Hello there, Eagles fans, and welcome back to our Eagles Therapy Podcast. I'm Basil.
I'm Baz.
We are recording Sunday, October 27th, 2024. After the Eagles' biggest win of the season and after the Washington Commanders, looks like they just lost to the Bears. We're watching that live here.
Yes.
Bears just scored a touchdown, so which would put us in the lead for the division. So just point that out real quick.
Beautiful.
Great. But we'll get back to that in a second. But defeat the Bengals 37-17. Fantastic game. Early, slow start again, but still a great game to watch, great game to win. How you feeling, Dad?
Oh my gosh, it was just incredible. Again, a slow first quarter, and then, the texts were coming in. Oh my gosh, we can't get any points. My brother hit me up. He's like, you know what? I don't care if we don't score in the first quarter as long as we win the game. It ended up being a misnomer, I guess, because just a blowout. But yeah, it was incredible. I mean, great group of people there today. We had a good time.
Yeah, 47 people at the bar. We wanted to point that out. We were at Rhinos again. Had 47 Eagles fans there. David went around and counted. And so, yeah, that's pretty darn good turnout. I mean, there was times at Frankie's where we had around 40. There was times where it was only 26, 38, 47 for our not our bar, technically.
Yes.
Technically it was a Dolphins bar, but we took it from them. I mean, the Dolphins, they were playing at the same time, and they had to hang out in the corner with the small TVs because we had more people.
Well, the owner, had been talking, and he said something about the fact that, I'm getting 50 Eagle fans here.
Got to give them what they got.
And, they're crazy, of course, and they're making noise, and they're drinking beer, and they're eating food. So, I mean, what are you going to do? That's how it works.
Yeah. Definitely. So, let's get into it. So, the Eagles, like we said, they defeat the Bengals 37-17 in Cincinnati, their first ever win in Cincinnati, which is great.
That's crazy.
And it continues a 3-game winning streak now. So we're on a third game winning streak in a row. And I know it's a lot of people talk about the competition you face and everything. But in the end, we always talk about you play who you play. You play who's on the schedule. Nothing you can control about that. But a 3-game winning streak, it's great to have coming off the bye. And this team really turned things around.
It's so funny because some of the guys we listen to, broadcasters out of the Eagle area, I'll be happy to get out of here, with 2 wins. And I'm thinking, no, we need to go 4-0 here.
Yeah.
This is it. This is the spot. We're playing teams that we're kind of down. The Giants, obviously, were not doing so well. And the Bengals, of course, it's so funny how the national media blew it up. I was so mad. I was mad about that. They're all picking the Bengals, and I'm thinking, I don't see it, man.
Yeah.
And if you listen to our pregame preview, if you will, we were talking about that. The 22nd ranked defense over there, their defensive pass was 21st. Their defensive run was 20th. Their red zone defense was 68% or something. So I didn't see it. I'm glad I didn't go, I think they might not win. No, I had the Eagles winning that game.
True.
And what did I say? 27-10 was my
before the game. I was like, "Hey, Dad, what do you think?" You said 28-10, and you weren't. You weren't that far off. It turned on, and we'll go ahead and get into everything.
I'm not a delusional Eagles fan, but I saw a different thing than they did.
I gotcha.
We are a slow starting team, but and Burrows was picking us apart.
Yeah.
I didn't like our soft coverage early, but sometimes I guess that's what you do because late, boy, I'll tell you what, we got a lot of great plays to talk about. But you tighten up that defense so they can't throw that short, quick pass, and you're going to change the game.
Definitely. Well, let's get into the good starting off. Number one, the first thing that kind of good happened because early on it was kind of bad. The first drive, third down, they went 5 for 5 on third downs on the Bengals' first opening drive. They ended up going, I think, 7 of 8 at one point.
17 play drive.
Yes, is that what it was? 17 plays, 10 minutes. Yes, 17 plays, 70 yards, 10 minutes, and 4 seconds, which obviously stopped us from having the chance to score in the first quarter. But let's go with the good. The first really good thing that happened. Nolan Smith had another sack. I don't know if he was credited with half a sack. They haven't officially put the statistics out there.
He got half. Milton Williams, so he cleaned it up afterwards. Which,
so watching it
again, that defensive line, man.
Yeah, watching it felt like he got the sack. I didn't see another guy in there, so I really thought the sack should be his alone. But we'll take what we get. That's a big deal for Nolan Smith. I mean, he's a player who's was disappointing last year. I wouldn't even say disappointing. Didn't get to play last year, and then disappointing this year. Now he's 3 games in a row where he's got a sack or half a sack or whatever. 2.5 sacks in the last 3 games. This is a big deal, man. And especially after he had a tough time covering Jamar Chase in the end zone, but we'll get to that. But
which was silly, yeah.
But still, a big deal for Nolan Smith to have this. I'm really happy for this guy, and we really like this guy. We've been cheering for him ever since we first got him. But next great thing, end of half coaching. I thought it was great. The end of the half coaching. This was the first time this year that I thought the end of half coaching was exactly what I wanted him to do. It was great. It was perfect. You agree with me?
Oh, definitely, yes. The way we handled the clock, it's so funny. Even at one point we were driving, and we knew we were getting a second half kickoff. So you wanted to do it. You wanted to double. We want to score and then score again. If it's a field goal, that's fine. But if it's a touchdown, even better. So at one point, you had said, we don't want to score right this second.
Yeah,
we do want to score, right before the half. And of course, that's what happened. And it was pretty insane.
Oh my God, Dad.
I saw it.
Washington just caught
You got to be kidding me.
A walk-off touchdown.
That was bad defense again by the Bears. This awful. Can you believe it? He was by himself back there. That's crazy. What are you guys doing? But yeah, it was.
That's frustrating.
It was.
That's really frustrating. Sorry, Eagles fans. We don't like to. I don't want to take away attention from what we're recording right now, but that's
kidding me.
Really frustrating.
2 seconds left.
2 seconds left, and he throws a 70-yard.
Probably 50-something.
Maybe. You're right. Probably he had to be closer, but still, that's wow. That is
just ridiculous.
Absolutely pathetic. That really upsets me. We were about to have the lead.
Could have led the division.
Could have had the lead in the division, and I mean, it's the season's far from over, but that's disgusting, man.
Unbelievable.
That's
You
disgusting.
attack the ball up and
Good. That's Kevin Byard. Screw that. Sorry. That's Kevin Byard. He was terrible for us. Go be terrible for the Bears. He's been great this year. But whatever. Okay. Sorry. End of the half again with the Eagles. We had a little. Not little, sorry. We had a long drive, 12 plays, 58 yards, 4 minutes and 40 seconds to get to a touchdown. It was great. Started off good, 7-yard gain, 2-yard gain, 1-yard gain, get the first down. I think that was a tush push. Then 1st and 10, and then another 1st and 10, and then another 2nd and 7. And it just really good job. But the best part was, like I said to you, they got down to the goal line. 1st and goal, and they didn't score right away, and they weren't stupid with their decisions. They were very smart, and they knew their timeouts. They had 3 timeouts going into it. So Hurts got sacked for 0 yards, and then it was an illegal use of hands.
That's
you remember,
right.
yep.
That's right.
And then Saquon Barkley left for 2 yards, and then Jalen Hurts, QB sneak, doesn't get it. Use a timeout. Jalen Hurts gets a touch. It was a perfect. It's exactly what
execution of your time.
Yes.
And getting the touchdown, not just settling for the field goal.
Because Saquon, he ran the ball for 2 yards in minute 17, and then at 44 seconds, we did a tush push. We didn't get it. That's okay. Use a timeout at 25 seconds. We do it again. We still had another timeout if we didn't get it. You know what I mean? It was just a perfect way to end the half. I thought it was the first time this year the end of half coaching was great. Let's talk about some other goods. Grant Calcaterra, real deal. He's a real player, man. It's great. He's good. He's really good.
I mean, he just knows where to get the seam. He catches everything thrown his way. He gets up another couple more yards. He got 1 or 2 first downs. I think it was 58 yards receiving. So, I mean, this guy is I'm glad they're throwing the ball to him because I know we knew when he started talking about him, the last couple of years, he was a pass catcher, not really a blocker. Well, we need a pass catcher.
That's a big deal.
Point, so.
It's a big deal to have for a guy, missing Goddard, and you always think, when that happens, it's, here we go, like, this isn't good. You don't want to, but he's really stepped up.
Yeah.
And then Jack Stoll even had to catch at one point, not for many yards,
6 yards.
Still. Good job by Calcaterra to get, going.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the 3 best players on our offense. And it's just a great reminder that they're all very good players. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley. The 84 yards for A.J. Brown, 85 for Smith and a touchdown. And no touchdown for Saquon, but 108 yards, 3 yards in the air. So 111 total yards off 23 touches. And he wasn't, early on he was having a tough time. They ran the ball well right away. He was 3 for 15. It was like, okay.
Right.
But then about second, third quarter, couldn't really run.
Oh.
And it was like, okay, well, let's hold back. And then fourth quarter, boom, they stuck with it and they ran it down their throat. And that's great. I love seeing a running back in a game. He doesn't have to get a 55-yarder and a 75-yarder to get 100 yards. Yes. No, his longest was 19. Everything else, it was boom, boom, boom. And
19 was beautiful, too. That was the first play, I think, when they brought in 57.
Van Sumeren, yes.
Van Sumeren. Boy, they bring that fullback in, and it just seems to – it did something there on that, because then I think you ran again on the next play. Then they pulled Van Sumer out and he lost 2 yards. But still, I mean, it's just that look, that extra fullback, that extra blocker. It just seems to work. It's worked. So, and it's great that they don't use it all the time. It was just here and there. And when they first brought it in the first time, because you and I both jumped up and went, "Hey, he's in the backfield, fullback."
It's a perfect. It doesn't have to be a base package. But it's a perfect, hey, let's change this up real quick. Hey, we're up by 10, we're up by 17, whatever. Now we got to start running the ball, put him in there. And it works. It really does work. Yeah. Touchdown to Devontae. The offensive line, I should just say today, not even on that play, offensive line did a great job. Hurts wasn't sacked. I don't know how many times he was pressured technically. It didn't seem like much. He had a guy in his face every once in a while, but I thought, man, they had a really great job out there with the offensive line, especially with the injuries. Obviously, Lane left the game. We went into the game with 2 backups with Tyler Steen and Fred Johnson. Right. Thankfully, Tyler Steen, both of them, they really held their own. And I thought on that play, the touchdown to Devontae, Jalen had it was the most perfect pocket I've ever seen in my life.
If you were watching at home, you would have heard the announcers talking about how Fred was doing against Hendrickson, because he's a great sack guy. He's got 7 on the season in 7 games. And there was a few plays where they kind of – thank you. You couldn't really we can't really hear it when we're at the bar.
Yeah, it's difficult.
The noise. But at one point that you could see they were showing a replay, and he was blocking Hendrickson and just did fantastic. And I believe it was on either one of the pass plays to Devontae over the middle, or it might have been the TD. But
I think it might have been like the early AJ in the middle or something like that. I think it was that play.
I just remember when they showed you from behind, and you could see that Devontae. Hurts didn't have to move around; he didn't have to scramble around. He stood his ground, and boy, on that Smith touchdown, we were talking a little bit before that, like. I'm saying they never throw the ball deep to him, and you're like, oh, it's so well. Then throw it.
First play, two plays before it. I said, you were like, oh, don't go to AJ every time deep, and I was like, well, then throw it to Devontae deep.
Yeah, it's the second time.
2 plays later.
2 plays later, great. But it was a beautiful pass. It was right there. I mean, we had to go easy on him. That was a beautiful play, and but he had all the time, and I was yelling as he was throwing it to step into it, because he does that 2-3 seconds throw it, and he's never stepping in. Well, this time he had time, and he stepped into it, and it was just beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. Defense as a whole, but I'm going to point out some things. The defense only allowed 17 points, which, you take that. That's, our offense, if they're not scoring 20 points a game, probably not going to be winning. But if our defense can only allow 17, 14, 20 points a game, that's great, especially if one of them is early on and the rest of the game it slows down. Point out some big ones. Cooper DeJean, 4th down stop, was incredible. The pass to Jamar Chase, and man, ever since he stepped into this defense, it's just been different.
Whole new game.
It's a whole different defense. It's changed. And then they last 2 games they didn't let up any touchdowns, and it's the Browns and it's the Giants and everything. But this was the Bengals, who they got a quarterback who's a top 5 quarterback. Definitely. I know they're missing T. Higgins, so that might be a thing people say. But Gesicki, I think he's a solid tight end. He played at Penn State. We love him. Yes. And Jamar Chase, he's a top 5 wide receiver. I would even say maybe top 6 if he's there. But he's up there. These were good guys, and we held our own against them. Jamar Chase only getting 54 yards. Yes. Gesicki, he was kind of the one
on 9 catches and 11 targets.
Yeah.
So we're talking 5-yard passes, 5 yards.
So it's 6 yards a catch. Yeah. And then even less. With
the 2 incompletions.
Well, even less with targets. Yes, that's.
And it's funny because I know right away we're like cover deep, cover tight. Well, that's not how you start a game. You can't start a game like that. So that was one of the things that we had seen the last few weeks where we're covering them tight, and that's where the quarterback can't get rid of the ball, so he's getting sacked.
Yeah.
Well, Burrow's a little bit better than some of the quarterbacks we've seen recently.
Oh yeah.
He threw some zingers that were right in there, just perfect passes. So, but we did eventually. The pressure was there the whole game, but they did start covering a little bit tighter, and the windows kind of got a little smaller. Mm-hmm. He ended up throwing a pick, which
that's the next thing I was going to point out and give a shout out to the 2 guys, Isaiah Rodgers and C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Rodgers, the big thing that NFL teams do, Slay left the game. And what happens after that? They go at the guy. And he left in the 3rd quarter. I don't know if the pick was thrown right after he left, but it was around not long after.
Exactly.
And that's just a huge deal to have a guy. And we have all these young guys who have experience. Rodgers, he didn't play it all last year because of the suspension, but he's played in the league and he's still a young guy, 25, 26. Keely Ringo, a young guy, Cooper DeJean and Quinton Mitchell. We talk about these guys, but it's just a big deal to have a guy, Isaiah Rodgers, who who could come in off the sidelines. He's ready. I'm ready to play. He's 26 years old. That's great.
But the way he tipped the ball away from the wide receiver.
Incredible.
And then right into CJ. I mean, Gardner Johnson, it couldn't miss it. It was in his stomach.
Great. Thank God
he caught it. He tried to turn around, but he stepped out.
If we hadn't caught it, we would have lost our minds. But it was great.
At that point of the game, that was he caught it at the 15-yard line, and from there.
And that's my next thing I have. 12 play, the best thing of the game, really, to me. The 12-play, 85-yard touchdown drive that took up 7 minutes and 37 seconds. It started in the third quarter after the pick.
Right.
Let me see. Sorry, pull it up right here.
Yeah.
Interception. There we go. 7 minutes, 37 seconds. Oh, I'm sorry. It was in the fourth quarter. Did I say? No. It wasn't. Was it in the fourth quarter?
I don't think
I lost my mind. No. Let me see.
I don't think it was.
No, it was in the fourth quarter. Yeah, it was. Oh, sorry, I don't know why that happened. Yeah, in the fourth quarter, we get the ball with 12 minutes, 16 seconds. And I had said, oh, man, if we just drive down, at the time we were up 27-17. Okay. If we just drive down, kick a field goal, even if we, I'd love to score a touchdown, but if we can just kick a field goal with less than 6 minutes,
right?
It's a 2-score game, less than 6 minutes,
right?
That it starts to put things into motion, starts to put it away, and that's the drive that after the interception, Ben Van Sumeren is on the first 2 plays. He gets 11 yards and he gets 5 yards. Then he loses 2. But after that, they started hitting Devontae on the slants, and they go on an 85-yard touchdown drive, and it takes up 7 minutes and 37 seconds.
On 2 slants in a row, right?
Not back to back, but on back to back not back to back. No,
okay.
3rd and 7, they hit him for 9 yards. Then Saquon for 3, Hurts for 7, Saquon for 4, and then Saquon for 19.
Oh, wow.
Van Sumeren came in, Gainwell for no gain.
Right.
2nd and 10, Calcaterra for 18.
Wow.
I'm sorry, Calcaterra for 11, Saquon for 17. And, was that it? So it only hit. Oh, no, there we go. I missed a Devontae one. So, yeah, he hit Devontae twice on that drive.
Yeah. But they were beautiful because he was
not back-to-back plays. There was a play in the middle.
But wide open. And it was, you could see he was going to fight for that first down. Because at that point, we just wanted first down after first down after first down, which is what we got. So, and by the time we scored, I don't know how much time was left, but
so 7 minute, 37-second drive. They get the ball back with 4 minutes, 39 seconds.
Right. I don't think Burrow came in, did he?
He did. He got it. Well, then he passed the ball to Gesicki and then fumbled.
That's right. That's right.
Right after that pick, and then let's shout out another player, Zach Bond, Nakobe Dean. Nakobe wrapped him up. Bond punched it out, and then Dean was right there and recovered it. Yeah. So, great job by our linebackers there. Just as the defense, man. Right after that interception, just a back-to-back great job by the defense, offense, defense. Interception, and then and even before the interception, we scored a touchdown. So we scored a field goal to go up by 10.
Right.
So we get a field goal. They get it goes back even further. It was just a back-to-back perfect. We get the turnover on 4th down.
That's right.
Then we kick a field goal.
Tackle by BG on that one. Oh my gosh.
We get it. Well, on the 4th down, it was Jamar. It was Cooper DeJean. The BG was the 3rd down. We'll talk.
I'm sorry. That's right. That was 3rd and 1 though.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we get the turnover on downs. We kick a field goal. We get an interception. We score a touchdown. We get a fumble. We kick a field goal.
Right.
That last 3 minutes or 5 minutes of the third quarter into the fourth quarter was domination. Right. It was complete domination by both sides of the field. It was just phenomenal. One other thing I want to say is the good was what we didn't get to. We didn't really get to celebrate it because there was a holding on it. But the Shipley,
beautiful.
Shipley got a touchdown, got called back because they were holding.
Yeah,
and it was holding, so it's fair that they called it.
It was.
But I thought it was great for him. It was just a great run, and he got it. And it stinks that it got taken away, but it's good to know that he has that ability.
That would have put us up 41-17. Further the blowout even more.
Absolutely.
But I was really kind of mad because of just the way the national media was picking against us all week, and I'm just so glad that we won by such a big margin and just kind of put all that to rest.
Yeah.
And now we can focus on just the game per game and not worry about anything else.
Definitely. All right, let's go ahead and get into the bad. Number one of the bad, Washington wins, so that stinks.
Goodness gracious.
We'll talk about the games in a second. But number one of the bad, we mentioned already, the slow start again. The funny thing about it is when you really think about it, so we haven't scored a point in the first quarter this season. Everyone knows it. We talk about it, yada, yada. Before this game, we were averaging 23 points per game. And if you hadn't scored in the first quarter, that means we were averaging 23 points per game in the second, third, and fourth quarter,
correct,
which is really good. That's actually phenomenal. And now, if you think about it, we didn't score in the first quarter today, and we scored 37. What's that bring the average up to?
About 25.
25, 20,
I didn't really,
25.8. So that's 25 points per game in just the second, third, and fourth quarter. So if you score a touchdown in the first quarter, every game, like just say you score a touchdown, and I know that's asking a lot.
Sure.
If you score a touchdown in the first quarter, well, now your average is 32 points per game.
Yes.
Or you score a field goal in the first quarter, 28 points per game. Like it's just I'm just saying that first quarter. I know they say, and I know a lot of our touchdown drives or field goal drives, maybe they started in the first quarter and they end in the second quarter with a point, and that's fair. It happened today. We started with the ball in the first quarter, we got the field goal in the second quarter.
Right.
But it's just one of those things. I'm like, man, like if you score in the first quarter, we got to start doing something. The slow starts are not good. We started slow on both sides today.
But the one thing about talking about that is the fact that your slow start, but we kicked off. So that was that's what you want. So you can do that. What we ended up doing today, which was score right before the half, and then score coming out of the third quarter. And that drive in the third quarter was. Sometimes that's that gut punch. We went up 17-10 after being down 10-3.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's beautiful. You got 14-point swing before they even saw the ball again.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's huge.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You're right. We scored up before the half, then we score coming out of the half.
Yes.
It's a 14-point swing right there. You're right.
And they didn't end up tying us back up, but still, at the same time, that's when the game changed a little bit later than that. So,
definitely.
I mean, that's the risk you take. And, of course, they were home, so – that's a big thing, getting the ball first. I mean, I know, but, that's always the thing you want to do is kick off. That's how we've always worked it, how the E's have done it for years now. So,
definitely, yep. Next, Bengals offense. Their first drive, they went 5 for 5 on third down. In the game, they ended up going 10 for 13 on third down. At one point, they were 7 for 8 before we got our first big stop that led to the field goal, which was kind of the time our defense really turned it on.
Yes.
They went 7 of 8 on third down. They had to kick that field goal to go up 10-3, and from then on, our defense ripped into shape. They let up another touchdown, I know, but still, they really changed. It changed their momentum once they got that first stop.
That one,
and the worrisome was it was leading to become like the Tampa game, where it was just like, oh, they're just going to get every first down. They're getting every first down on third down and 7, third and 6, third and 9. It was just horrible to watch, and then the third and 22 later on, which was just terrible. But, yeah, we're sorry.
Well, the third and 8 that they got that really kind of crushed me.
And he did
he did. And it was just like, we had him, and then he gets around the guy, and you're just like, oh, man. And he kind of dove. 2 guys were ready to tackle him, and he kind of dove, and it looked like he might have been short, but you could see he dove over the line.
Definitely.
That one was a killer because it just seemed to me that we finally had made, we finally got to stop. And it didn't happen. So.
Well, the third and 22 made me want to punch the table, but that was terrible.
That was right after the sack.
Yes, it was. Yeah. So next thing, can we, for the offensive, can we get rid of the out pass?
Please.
Can we get rid of the out pass?
Yeah.
Last week, it leads to Devontae getting negative 2 yards in receiving. Yes. And then this week, what happens? He catches a ball for negative 2 yards.
It's blown up.
I'm confused on – it just doesn't seem to do anything in the long run. It doesn't feel like it opens anything up. It doesn't change things around. It just doesn't seem to work for our team. It hasn't worked for a few years. It doesn't.
Well, even that 3rd and 3 where Hurts threw it to Gainwell in the flat, which looked to me like it was going to be a pick 6, of course – from the angle I saw it, the guy was actually behind Gainwell. But, I mean, why are we throwing an out pass on 3rd and 3? It was bad.
That was horrible.
Bad. And I forget where we were as far as the line goes, but, I mean, run it and get 2, and then you can push it in if you want. It was just bad.
Yeah. I did also want to point out in the bad, we dropped that field goal. We dropped an interception. That was on 3rd and 2nd and 22. That was the one where Cooper DeJean, and he dropped it, and it was like, oh. Yeah. Well, then they got the first down, 3rd and 22 the next play. So, again, it's. I know we ended up getting a turnover later in the game, the big pick, and then another with a fumble. But just got to start making these catches. We got to get interceptions, man. And it's nice that the first time we have an interception for the first time. That's not Reed Blankenship, but still, it's another safety. We're not getting cornerback interceptions.
It's funny how you could see how Burrow changed after the interception. You got to get that interception because this is a guy that's, like you say, top 5 quarterback. But you got a top 15 quarterback. He throws a pick. He slumps.
Yeah.
His shoulders drop. He starts throwing the ball to you. So, you just can't. We just got to make sure if it's close, we got to catch it.
Yeah. Next, let's get into Jalen Hurts. So, of course, we did the good, the bad, and the Hurts. So let's talk about Hurts. Best game of the season for him, I would say. It's good to say that because last week was his best game of the season, and the week before that was his best game of the season. Sure. So we're in an upward trend. I know I said some things on here that might have been controversial about him not being the guy.
You upset some Facebook listeners.
Yeah, sure. That's true. Yeah. But no, hey man, he's playing really well. I'm not going to say great, and I think he's a good player. I talked about it last week. I'm not saying he's not good. I think he's very good. I just don't think he's elite or great. But he's playing great right now.
I need to see 2 more games
like this.
Similar to this, and then I'll talk really well about him.
Yeah. Stat sheet ends up looking darn good. 16 for 20, 236 yards and a touchdown, as well as 3 touchdowns on the ground, 2 being the tush push, which is, it's funny. It's one of those things where I told, I was talking to Steve, and we're kind of like, yeah, the rushing touchdowns. And I'm like, yeah, but I can't really, I don't really count those for his, like it's hard for me to go, oh yeah, it's his rushing touchdown. It's really the team's rushing touchdown. Like it's one of those things where I'm like, I kind of count that for the lineman. You know what I mean? Because he got one on the ground that was great when he ran outside, and it wasn't a tush push. Yes. It was a great run. And so he ends up getting 3 rushing touchdowns with 37 yards on the ground.
Right.
And if you take away some of those tush pushes, it's a pretty good average for him.
Yeah, he had one really, really nice scramble. And then we were talking about
a sack.
How he did not get sacked today, which was incredible. Yeah. Because you have 2 fill-in offensive linemen, and at one point Lane went out, but only for a few plays, thankfully. Yeah. But you still got these 2 guys that are working it in, Steen and Freddie out there on the left side, and who looked again great. But he took off kind of early. He took a couple runs early, one to the left side, one to the right. And I think that kind of went, okay, we can't really rush with our ears back, and just because he's seeing it and he's taking off, and we can't stop him. And so, I always say you got to run a few times, but I'm glad that he's not running a whole bunch.
Definitely. I thought the Devontae touchdown, I thought that was his second or third best throw of the season. Incredible. I still think the best throw of the season for him was the AJ one last week against the Giants. Yes. The touchdown, it was incredible on 4th and 3.
Read perfectly.
This one, though, I thought it was almost just as good. And Devontae, I already said as a reminder just how good he is. Yeah. It's funny because you talk about AJ, he's that guy that kind of goes up for the 50-50 ball, and you like his odds of one-on-one. And Devontae's the same way. Yes, Devontae is not just a deep threat, which they both are, but Devontae, when he goes up for that ball, it's his. He's coming down with it. It feels like that every time. He got big with that on Washington last year, the Washington the year before. When he goes up for that ball, that's his ball. It's something that's great to see.
And some really nice sideline passes to him, where he lowered his shoulder, ran over a few guys, and I think the next time he did that, they didn't want any part of him because he really hit him hard. So,
but yeah, I thought Hurts to Devontae today was a key. I thought every pass he threw to him was great, except for minus the out pass. Yeah. But everything else I thought was great. The slants, the touchdown, the out pass. I thought him and Devontae were clicking today, and it was great to see. And Hurts, he's on a good run, man. I still don't love the variety. He only threw the ball to 5 different guys. Now I know it's hard. He's missing Goddard, but Devontae, AJ, Calcaterra, Stoll, Barkley. Those are the only guys he targeted, and it's just it's starting to get to the point where
one to Barkley and one to Stoll. So you got 3 other guys that's catching it.
I know he only threw the ball 20 times. And I always talk about that's how he shouldn't be throwing the ball more than 25 times a game. That was a big thing I said last year. Why is he throwing the ball 45 times? Yes. It shouldn't happen. Unless you have to when you're down, but other than that, I want to see 5. I want to see more than 5 guys being thrown to. I know we're missing Goddard. One thing that we got to say, I know this isn't on the Hurts. When Goddard comes back, don't sideline Calcaterra. He needs to be out there still.
My goodness.
We need to be running 12 personnel the entire game.
He's proven that he can catch everything you throw to him and get another 5 yards on top of that.
Yes, absolutely.
And knock some guys down. This guy.
You got to have Calcaterra out there, man.
I agree.
Going forward for the season. And I'm not saying, sit Goddard. No. But you got to play him both.
I know you say that. The reason you say that is because that's what we do. All of a sudden, what happened to that guy? We used him all the time. Now, early in the season, where's Goddard? Why are we not throwing the ball to him? We should be moving this ball around. And the other thing that's a big deterrent, really, is our wide receiver 3. We got 3 or 4 guys, ladies in waiting, and they haven't caught your ball. Jahan Dodson hits nothing. You still got Johnny out there. Johnny Wilson.
You got to have variety, and I don't.
Even if it's one catch. What did the Burrow one guy Burton 1 catch, 41 yards?
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. Use the guys that you have.
Yeah. Burrow threw it to 7 guys. I mean, that's a big thing. I've always believed, and you got to spread the ball around, even if they're not catching it. You got to give them a chance to get them in the game. I mean, I know we don't want to compare.
It's true, though.
I know we don't like to compare to the greatest quarterback in the league right now, but the Chiefs today, they threw it to 9 different guys. Yes. I mean, that's what you have to do. Yeah. And I know you might think we don't have 9 guys you need to throw the ball to, but I can name you. We got AJ, Devontae, Goddard. Those are the easy ones. Right. Saquon, Calcaterra. All right, and then you go into Stoll, Barkley, Gainwell.
Yes.
That's 8 guys right there. Right. And then I haven't even mentioned Jahan Dotson yet.
Right. Or Johnny Wilson. Whoever else we got.
And I know you can't throw it to 12 guys every game. Of course not. But it's just I don't see enough variety. I want to see more. That's what.
But that kind of thing breaks the defense's back.
Absolutely.
They're like, we're locking down AJ, and Devontae doesn't even have a hatchet. Who's this guy that just got a 25-yarder? Who is this guy? I don't even know who this is.
I mean, I think that's what's happened with Calcaterra the last few weeks. Yeah. Is they're like, God, who's this guy? Yeah.
I mean, he was wide open in that one play today. Unbelievable.
But yeah, what else? Last thing I'll say about Hurts after he played, I think his best game of the season. We scored 37 points. He was 28 of them. He threw a touchdown and he ran for 3. So it's this is a big deal for 20. Sorry, 20.
Well, when you knock a guy down when he's down, you got to pick him up when he's up, and he is up, and that's let's say. I don't want to say he's earning his keep, but he's doing what we need him to do.
Definitely.
When we needed him to throw the ball today, and that's what a lot of people were talking this week about this game. Let's see if Let's see if Hurts can throw the ball and win the game. You saw what he did. He was incredible.
Yeah.
We also ran the ball great, too.
I think so, yeah. Toward the end of the game, yeah.
It's nice to have that.
Scooching over to Under the Nest, plays that were kind of forgotten because maybe plays after them overshadowed or were bigger plays than it. This is the big one I was going to point out, the BG. So the big one was the Cooper DeJean, 4th and 1. It was like, oh, man, that was one of the biggest plays of the game. Don't forget about before that happened. BG on 3rd and 1 stopped. It's just great to see how good he is. Minute 26 left in the third quarter. He stops him on 3rd and 1 and for a gain of nothing, and it leads to a 4th down stop. I mean, it's just, and that's very similar to the Cleveland one when he tackled that guy for a loss of 5 yards, and then they missed the field goal.
Yes.
I mean, it's a big deal, and it goes a long way. This guy, he's a leader. And he's still a good player.
It's just one play a game. We needed it.
That's more plays than some of the other guys are making a game.
And it looked like 3rd and 1. It looked like that guy lost a yard, and they still marked it.
That was weird.
It kind of bothered me a little bit, but I thought we still stopped them on 4th down, so that's okay.
Yeah. I didn't have any offensive under the nest. Let's go to injuries. So injuries in the game. Lane Johnson, like we say, left the game, came back. He was all good. I think he ended up leaving the game again, but they started taking out their starters and everything like that. So, which is great to see how you've been able to do the last 2 weeks, man. Be able to take out starters at the end of games.
But it's just unbelievable. You got Steen out there now, drafted last year?
4th round draft last year.
I mean, he looks great. He hasn't given up anything.
No, not at all.
He's a great run blocker. He's learning on the fly. He's thrown into a situation playing against Lane.
He was a starter before he got hurt.
But he didn't cry about not being a starter. Absolutely. He just went out there and he's doing what he's doing because Becton's out. And then Freddie over on the left side just is incredible. Filling in for Mailata. He's got big shoes to fill. And, he's done it so far for 3 games straight here. So, we get one more next week, finally home. 4 of the last 5 games have been on the road.
Yeah.
A 3-game win streak. So, this is what you got to do.
And this is the event, the big thing I always talked about, I think in 2019, 2020, when we had a lot of offensive linemen getting injured. And I was always like, man, this really stinks. But I don't want to say good part about it is your backups are getting experience. And now when this happens again, now you got them. And this is the good thing about Steen. If Steen's not going to be a starter next year, which I think he will, he can play at any time. If someone's hurt, he can play. He's starter material, The same thing now with Fred Johnson. Earlier this year, we had a call upon him, and last year he was on the team. And once you get experience with the team and you have to go in and fill shoes, you're better for the next time.
Who filled in for Lane Johnson today?
Jack Driscoll.
Okay, and he's got some experience.
Used to play back in 2020, back in 2019 when he was on the team. I think 2020 was his first year with us. He had to play a lot when players were getting injured, and now he can play right tackle.
He can just come in off the bench, cold, and say, "Okay, what do you need me to do? Run block, you got it." Yep. And that's exactly what they did.
Absolutely.
I don't think they did poorly when Lane was out those 2 or 3 plays. I'm not sure exactly.
It wasn't many plays for me to really go back and see.
Yeah. But there was no sacks. There was no. But he didn't
because there was no sacks at all on us.
Exactly. So there you go.
And then Slay left injured as well. Didn't look like he came back in. He left in the third quarter, which led to Isaiah Rodgers going in and then targeting Isaiah Rodgers and him making a great play to lead to an interception. Yes. So, Slay, it's been a little bit rough this year. It's not that he's played terribly. He just hasn't played as great as normal, which this is what happens to a lot of players. Jason Peters is the big one to note.
Sure.
He was an all-pro most of his career. So towards the end of his career, when he was still playing well but not all-pro, it seemed like he wasn't as good. It's like, well, he's not as good, but he's still good.
Right.
And that's how it feels with Slay. He's also he's played okay, but he's also got injured. It feels like at least 3 or 4 times this year he's left a game hurt, and it kind of stinks.
Yeah, it looked like it in that one play today where he kind of limped after I think there was a penalty called or something, and he kind of gave you a look like he was limping, and you're like, oh no, don't keep him in if he's hurt. Let's try and work.
Absolutely not.
And we're doing the same thing. We talk about the offensive line sliding in guys that need to be well. Today you slid in a few players, and if we hadn't slid in Cooper 3 weeks ago, who knows where we'd be right now.
Absolutely true.
So, you got to use the young guys. They have the speed, maybe not the experience, but, you coach them up and get them out there and give them the experience that we need. So,
absolutely.
Look what Cooper's been doing. It's incredible. And Quinion, he hasn't even missed a beat. So,
absolutely.
Slay, I'm sure, has taken him under their wing and helped him out. But, if this means he's not the guy he used to be, well, hopefully he can still,
coach the guys up.
That's right.
Absolutely.
He's still important.
Let's talk about some other games of the weekend real quick before we got into other sports. So the big one's going to be tonight, the Cowboys and Niners. We're going to want to watch that. Cheer for the Niners like we have to, which is just not fun. It's just one of those games you really don't want to watch, but you gotta. Because you got to see someone lose. But another big one, and we talked about this week was not a week with a lot of conference matchups or big division or conference matchups. So big one, Packers beat the Jaguars. So the Packers have really righted the ship. They had a lot of injuries early on. Jordan Love actually ended up leaving the game at one point, and their backup quarterback, Malik Willis, still was able to get them back into the game and everything. The Lions, it's at this point, you're almost at the point where if you're a fan of an NFC team, it's like,
doesn't matter.
Does it matter? Like, this team is just so good.
Still early.
Of course. No, a lot of things can change.
They looked incredible.
Even after losing their best defensive player a couple weeks ago, and everyone was kind of like, they win 52-14. They scored 52 points. And I know it's against the Titans. A lot of people say, it's against the Titans. And no, it's completely true. But, we beat the Giants last week, and we beat the Browns the week before. But guess what? A 3-game winning streak is a 3-game winning streak.
The Browns beat the second-best team in the AFC today.
The Browns with Jameis Winston defeated the
So suddenly we don't look so bad. Of course, it was Jameis Winston. So
yeah. You can never say his name.
No.
You always say Winston Justice or whatever.
Yeah.
But the Lions 52-14, and they're playing against a professional team, so it's just crazy. But the Falcons, they beat the Buccaneers the first time, right? Yes. So they've swept the Buccaneers this year. They win 31-26, push them ahead in the rankings. They're playing the Cowboys next week, so big deal to look at.
Yes.
Cardinals with a big upset over the Dolphins, very surprising. Yeah. Kind of fun to watch because we were at a Dolphins bar and some of the Dolphins fans, where you could hear them cheering over there, and they probably don't like the Eagles fans coming.
No, they didn't like us chanting 8 times today when we scored every time. That was a tough one.
And then one of them tried to chant Dolphins, and he misspelled Dolphins, which was fun.
There was an H in Dolphins, just in case you're asking.
Seahawks get annihilated by the Bills. Didn't even look like a contest. The Commanders, unfortunately, beat the Bears 18-15. That was such a bummer.
2 seconds left.
Such a bummer, dude.
You got to be kidding me.
And then not a division game or anything like that for us or conference, but we like to talk about the Broncos just because we're in their area. They win 28-14. They looked great. Bo Nix looked amazing.
He did.
Passing touchdown and 2 rushing touchdowns, I think, or 2 passing and a rushing.
The defense looked nice. Yeah. But, of course, it's Carolina. But still, it doesn't matter.
These are professional. These are professional teams. So he had 3 passing touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown.
Yeah, he looked good.
He looked really good, and it's crazy, man. But other than that, you got any other things on football this week?
Not really. Just
we got to wrap this up so we can watch the Cowboys game. So.
Right.
Let's go to other sports. 76ers, they lost their first 2. They won today in overtime, 118-114 against the Indiana Pacers. Indiana. Yeah, Indiana. I thought I was going to say Indianapolis, the Colts. But Indiana Pacers, Maxey, 45 points. Dude's great. Talk about him being a future top 10 player. There's things online about that I already saw. 5 for 17 from 3, 14 of 32 from the field. So he's shooting like crazy. Hopefully soon we're getting Embiid and Paul George back because, at some point he can't carry the team all by himself. And the role players just aren't that great right now. But the Union, the playoffs started. They're not in it. They did not make the playoffs, so nothing more of note on them right now. Yeah. And then as far as Penn State got a big win over Wisconsin.
Didn't look good early, but they came back.
But they came back and win. Yeah, Hey, man, it keeps you from dropping in the rankings. You can't drop when you win. It's one of those things. There's not really rules to it, but it's one of those kind of unspoken rules. You can't drop when you win. Right. So they're still staying at rank number 3. They're going to be playing rank number 4 next week, Ohio State. It's a big deal. We never beat Ohio State. I hate Ohio State.
That's right.
It's a bummer, but we never beat them. I think we beat them back in 2017 maybe. No, I think we lost to them. We just never beat them. It really sucks, and hopefully we turn it around this time because I don't think they have that great of a team over there as normal. I mean, they always have a great team.
Snuck by Nebraska this past week. So
yeah, I mean, in Nebraska, I went to school in Nebraska, and I didn't go to school at Nebraska. But those fans are nuts, and man, it's weird to see them doing so well. But they've done pretty good this year.
Yeah.
All right, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. If you like our Eagles Therapy podcast, do us a favor, rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe down below. Comment how you feel about this win, how you feel going forward. What do we want to see? What's the next score prediction? Next, we'll be playing the Jaguars at home. We'll be coming at you with a preview game probably Thursday or Friday, probably Friday morning. But we hope to see you then, and you can email us your questions at oureaglestherapy@gmail.com. But other than that, from all of us here at Our Eagles Therapy Podcast, I'm Basil.
And I'm Baz.
Go Birds.
Fly, Eagles, fly.